VJ, we all saw it Thursday night. A game that we were all obviously excited to watch, but Tua Tagovailoa on a rush to get a first down, lowered his head, ran into DeMar Hamlin, and went down. We've seen the move before with the fence. There's a ton of layers there,
man. Yeah.
But we saw the move we've seen before with the fingers and the arms and the fencing position. Yep. This being to his first real hit this season. We saw it when we saw him go down. We saw him leave the game due to a concussion. Was walking around, walked off of the field into the locker room under his own power. But at the end of the day, we do know that was a concussion. And after what happened just 2 years ago, that's a very, very big deal.
Yeah. It is, man. My heart sank. It really did, bro. I don't get too emotional about sports. I'm not an upset guy like my team loses and stuff or has a bad year. I don't go in the dumps. I'm not gonna start a bar fight over my team. That's not me at all.
Not throwing a shoe at the TV.
No, not throwing a remote. Not punching my flat screen and breaking it over money I lost on a game or something stupid like that. Learn how to control your emotions, grown man. That's not good stuff. But this made my heart sink, bro. And all I can do is sit there and I started praying. And I started praying for the guy because you guys know how I feel about my Dolphins, but you guys know how I feel about Oos. Oos is my guy. Like, I haven't had a guy at the quarterback position in the NFL since Mike Vick. Mike Vick was my last guy. I liked Cam, but I didn't love him like I loved Mike. And before Mike, it was Dan Marino. Those have been my two quarterbacks that I fight to the death, argue to the death, love to the death. I hope to meet both of them and get a picture one day to say that the two best quarterbacks in my life that I loved the most were Mike Vick and Dan Marino. But this hurt, man. And now I will step on it because everybody else has stepped on it. I've listened to a lot of clips and stuff. The word retirement now does start to come into my mind. It really does, because at the end of the day, I'd much rather see him healthy, and I'd much rather see him alive. And being a father myself, having two young, beautiful children, older daughters, they're grown and doing their thing. But I have two babies, man. Even at my age in my life, I got Journey at 2 and Cameron at 4. And when I walk in the door, Martin, real talk, and they see me, it changes my day. Like, my day changes. If you guys saw my Instagram, Mary, I know you looked at it. You see my kids were with me at football practice. They're part of me. You know what I'm saying? And everything I do, I want to do for them. I don't do anything for me anymore. I'm at the point where, no, I want to set their life up. And he got paid. They're set financially. But what Mike McDaniel said he said to him when he put his arm around him, Mike McDaniel knew by simply saying, "Go, you're now the quarterback of your family. Go be the quarterback of your family." That to me was very symbolic of Mike McDaniel seeing that and saying, "Okay, this might be it for this guy. I'm praying for him, man."
This is what Mike McDaniel had to say after the game during the post-game press conference.
Thank you.
I totally understand it, and it's not misplaced. I totally get how that's where people want to go to. I just wish that people would, for a second, hear what I'm saying, that bringing up his future is not in the best interest of him.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I totally agree, because this needs to be – he needs to take his time. Let me just say this also too real quick about the Dolphins season. If we don't have Tua, we don't have a shot. So I'll mail it in early. Fans can come at me, talk trash, whatever, but I just – you got to think about the man's – you got to think about the man personally, the person before the football player and before me being a Dolphin fan. And I just think some serious questions need to be had. Some serious conversations need to be had with him and himself. I love what Richard Sherman said, if you guys didn't catch that, where he said, you can talk to your boys, you can talk to the owner, you can talk to the coach, and you can talk to doctors, and you can talk to everybody. When you're a married man with a family and children, the person you need to talk to the most and the one that needs to have the most influence and have the biggest percentage of the choice is his wife. Because that is going to be his caretaker as his life goes on and as he gets older, if this persists to turn into a problem. So I think the R word is out there, Mark, for the first time for me. I wasn't saying it last year. I was actually balking at people saying it, but I do think now it probably might need to be a discussion, because I think about Troy Aikman. I don't know if you remember how his career ended, and once he got to like his third or fourth, Troy was like, okay, but of course you got 3 Super Bowls. It's easier. I don't think it's easier to walk away, but you've accomplished a lot in the league. For it to happen to a guy that, 26, 27 years old, that's the heartbreaking part of it, man.
So, in terms of retirement, I do not begrudge any player in the NFL for retiring at any point in time.
Nope.
I do not hold that against them. I don't think they're quitters. Nope. I think that it takes a person that has a certain
self-awareness.
I don't even say that. A certain
Ooh, words with friends hit me vernacular. Let's go.
the word I want to use is not the one that's most appropriate. A certain leash on life, like a certain mindset to go even play football in general at a high level.
You got to be wired a certain way.
So if you feel like for whatever reason that you can't go out there and do it anymore, hand up. Thanks for the memories. I'm good. I'm good if you're good. The thing with Tua, I think that if it's left to him, he will play.
Of course. The player's always going to play.
I think overwhelmingly so. But we do see Vontae Davis retiring at halftime. Or, so various different things. But you know what I'm saying? But rarely immediately following something.
There were things leading up to Vontae, though. There were things leading up to that.
But this is what's tough for me. We're talking about this as if it's Tua either like a binary play or don't play. Whereas it's not just playing. It's also the contract.
Yeah.
We only really we have to look at this from both sides of this.
Yeah.
Tua signed a big deal just a few weeks ago, right? Shortly before the start of the season. That deal had $167 million guaranteed for injury. Guaranteed for skill and injury, right? That means if you suck, your money's coming your way.
Money's coming your way.
If you get hurt, the money's coming your way. But if, in fact, he is cleared by a doctor and decides to retire, he will forego $124 million. Because of that $167 million guaranteed for injury, 43 of it's been paid. 43 of it was paid out this year.
Yep.
Okay? The remainder, the $124 million, you have to then play to get that money. Otherwise, you will be found in breach of contract if a doctor clears you. If the doctor says you are too messed up to continue to play ball, then he has a right to collect the $124 million remaining. Now, a lot of times you see injury settlements, things of that nature, right? But long and short of it is he will probably be getting about $100 million.
Isn't Welker going through something like that? Was it Welker or Edelman? It was one of the Patriots. It was Welker. Okay.
But speaking, coach for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. Yep. He is.
Here's the thing.
Oh, man.
I look at this, not necessarily like, do I have concern for Tua? I don't want to make it seem like I'm just whatever F Tua. I'm not there. I have concern for Tua. I hope he's okay. I would prefer personally if he would not play football anymore, but that's a me thing. Because when I watched him lower his head into DeMar Hamlin, it's a
basic tackle.
I saw it in the moment. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing?
3 plays before that, when he got sacked, I thought his head hit the turf then. I thought the back of his head hit the turf then, but he tucked his chin like he's been taught in judo to do.
It very well may have, because generally we hear that fencing response to a concussion is on like the second or third. So maybe he did sustain something earlier in the game. Regardless, it seems to me to be evident that Tua Tagovailoa is more prone to the knockout, violent, oh my God, is this guy going to be able to get up and walk type of concussions. He seems to be more, that happens to him more than other players that we see.
Yeah, especially in this era.
If the NFL just settled a massive lawsuit over head trauma, brain trauma, so on and so forth, this is one in which I think the NFL itself needs to look at this circumstance and say, all right, look, because right now Tua is like the decision.
Think the NFL should step in.
The NFL should step in and say, look, if you in fact receive what we deem to be a career-ending injury, then if that's the case, the money that's guaranteed in your contract will be paid out, and it won't cost against the other team building things that you have to do. If you use a franchise tag, for example, like let's say the Dolphins had franchised Tua instead of gave him the long-term deal, right? You get the opportunity to your franchise tag, you get it back, okay? Like you get it back. It's like it never happened, but Tua gets paid out that money. He gets paid out that guarantee. Because then the incentive for Tua to go out there and play, well, there's 124 million reasons why you want to go back out there. Outside of just the love of the game. He just earned this contract. It's very hard to get a second big-time contract in the NFL.
Yep.
If he was able to do that, because here's the thing, I don't know if you know this, VJ, but all the money, when you guarantee a contract, all of that guaranteed money has to go into escrow.
Yeah.
So it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there.
Yep.
So the 167 million guaranteed that Tua had, minus the 43 which has been paid, that's somewhere in the bank.
Yep.
So
It's just waiting. It's just waiting for the time for it to be released and paid out.
Exactly.
The money's there.
Exactly.
The money's there.
Because here's the thing. Tua eventually will stop showing the symptoms of a concussion.
Yep.
He will eventually be cleared to return and will eventually have to make this decision. If the NFL is interested in having a league going forward 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, you have got to take some of this power out of teams' hands, got to take some of this power out of players' hands. It's not like we're saying this guy, I'll put it like this. I used to work with Shannon Sharp, saw him all the time. Mm-hmm. He would walk around and he would like pop his hip every morning.
Yep.
Why? Because he needed a hip replacement because he had hurt his hip so many times playing football that he eventually forced him to retire. Tua is in that same spot with his brain. We cannot allow that to be the deciding factor, or there will not be football in the way that we know and love it going forward. And sometime down the line, football as we know and love it will cease to exist because this is the last thing I'll say on this. Right now, football, the NFL, you can see it happen. But there's sometimes, like on Monday morning, ESPN, FS1, CBS Sports Network, so on, they're all going to be talking about the NFL. Mm-hmm. But is Good Morning America going to be talking about the NFL? Is The View going to be talking about the NFL?
They were 2 years ago. When he had the concussion, that was world news. That was national news.
I'm saying,
that wasn't football news.
What happens when you see these moments in these primetime games. The more you have Whoopi Goldberg and Sonny Holston debating if the NFL should exist or not, the more trouble we're in as fans. Take this decision out of his hands, out of the Dolphins' hands, and say, you're not going to be cleared to come back. You're going to go ahead and get your money.
The only problem with that is, okay, if that happens, if the NFL steps in and makes sure he's still paid the 160 total, fine. But if the NFL steps in and says you're done, and then it goes to, okay, well, you didn't play to get the rest of that 124, but you've already made your 43, that's when players are going to say, okay, that's when you're going to have lawsuits back to the NFL.
The only thing I'm saying is with the caveat that guaranteed money gets paid out.
Okay, if it's guaranteed money paid out, all right, fine, save the guy. But I still think that you would have someone break precedent at some point and bring about a lawsuit basically saying, okay, you're stopping me from working now. I still want to work. This is my job. This is what I want to do. You're going to have it. We saw with Maurice Clarett that wanted to come to the NFL. We saw with Colin Kaepernick, even though he was paid to pretty much go away, $60+ million, still wanted to file some type of law.
But check it, VJ.
Well, as long as there's lawyers.
But check this.
In the judicial system.
You go work at a warehouse. If you can't lift 50 to 70 pounds without support, you can't work there.
Yeah.
Like, there are stipulations to be able to work everywhere.
If you
want to drive NASCAR, you can't be blind.
Hold on, but we won't hire you if you can't lift the 50 pounds. But if something happens to where you can't lift the 50 pounds, but there's still other things you can do in the warehouse, and you tell that person they have to go, then there's going to be a lawsuit from the union.
Well, if Tua wants to hold a clipboard and talk into the microphone for the rest of his Miami Dolphins career, more power to him.
That's not going to happen.
But I'm saying everybody on the field's got to be able to lift the 50 to 70 pounds. Like, everybody out there's got to be able to protect themselves.
I do not think though that we've seen the last of Tua Tagovailoa as an NFL quarterback. If you put it like you said, if he gets cleared, he's gonna come back and play, guys. This is just what real football players do.
I pray that we have seen the last of him, because if we don't, we are treading close. It is a slippery slope to the end of football as we know it. So I'd rather Tua's career end than the game end in general.